WWE Clash of Champions 2019 could feature the return of Brock Lesnar as one of many huge surprises at the pay-per-view. WWE.comWWE Clash of Champions 2019 is one of the most stacked B-level pay-per-views in quite some time and a show that will have long-term ramifications for WWE and its future creative direction. This will be the last PPV event of WWE's current era, as the company is just a few weeks away from SmackDown moving to Fox, which will result in major changes to the way WWE books its product because both shows are, with another draft on the horizon, expected to have separate rosters and separate storyline moving forward. That is what makes Clash of Champions such a pivotal show. It features a number of star-studded matches, including Seth Rollins vs. Braun Strowman, Becky Lynch vs. Sasha Banks and Kofi Kingston, which will set the wheels in motion for the new-look Raw and SmackDown. Especially with WWE's TV ratings for both Raw and SmackDown rebounding fairly well in recent months until Monday Night Football struck again, WWE will look to keep that momentum going at the final PPV before SmackDown's big jump to Fox. Whether it's the return of Sasha Banks or the end of Brock Lesnar's Universal Championship reign, WWE has recently made a habit out of pulling off a major surprise too in an attempt to reinvigorate the product, and Clash of Champions should be no different as WWE looks to get things headed on the right path with the NFL season and the war with AEW in full force. Here are 5 potentially huge surprises we could see at Clash of Champions. Kofi Kingston's Cinderella reign continues. Kofi Kingston's Cinderella title reign may not end at Clash of Champions. WWE.com Kofi Kingston has been booked better as WWE champion than anyone could have imagined, and his title reign has gone on far longer than just about everyone expected. Every time Kingston steps in the ring to defend his title nowadays, it's seen as a bonus when he leaves the match still champion. The widespread expectation is that Kingston will lose his title to Randy Orton, both because of Kingston's struggles to draw as champion and because Orton is deemed to be a bigger star who can carry SmackDown as its top champion when the show moves to Fox. But that's certainly no guarantee, as the New Day's merchandise prowess demonstrates that Kingston is certainly no slouch in the star power department, and with his WWE title reign continuing to impress, maybe Orton isn't the guy who will dethrone him after all. It was widely expected that Orton would win the title at SummerSlam, but he didn't. And with SmackDown's Fox debut right around the corner, it would be a smart booking strategy for WWE to hold off on Kingston's eventual loss until the Blue Brand's premiere episode on Fox, whether that be to Orton or another top SmackDown star. That way, SmackDown will kick off its new era with a monumental title change and instill in fans the idea that, on any given night, anything can happen on the unpredictable Blue Brand. The Undertaker shows up again. Signs are pointing toward the return of The Undertaker. WWE.com With WWE struggling to sell tickets for this past week's Madison Square Garden, the company brought back The Undertaker for the SmackDown show, which may mean nothing but could certainly mean something. Although Taker isn't booked to wrestle at Clash of Champions at the moment, he is set to appear on SmackDown's Fox debut on October 4th and recently signed what is essentially a lifetime contract with WWE. In other words, the Phenom isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and given his appearance on this week's SmackDown, combined with his surprising return and match at Extreme Rules, it definitely isn't out of the question that he will be thrust back into the mix at a time when WWE really wants to ensure that it delivers in the TV ratings department. The fall is the toughest time of the year for WWE in terms of TV competition, which explains why fans often see the returns of big-name stars during that period each year. After The Undertaker looked quite impressive during his tag team match at Extreme Rules and with a Big Four pay-per-view like Survivor Series, not to mention WWE's next Saudi Arabian show being right around the corner, it would make perfect sense for the Deadman to reinsert himself into WWE's major storylines in the near future. Why not at Clash of Champions? Although there isn't an obvious opponent lined up for Taker, there is an obvious trend in that Taker typically shows up whenever WWE feels like it needs him the most, while reports suggest he could be battling Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, in the near future. Don't be shocked if Taker shows up again at Clash of Champions, perhaps for a dream rivalry with a renewed Wyatt. Sasha Banks taps out Becky Lynch clean. Will Sasha Banks end the push of the man? WWE.com. Since returning after SummerSlam following a 4-month hiatus, Sasha Banks has been the talk of the town and has arguably supplanted Becky Lynch as the hottest act in the women's division, or perhaps even all of WWE. This is one of those golden opportunities WWE can't afford to miss. The boss has more momentum than ever before, and with Lynch's momentum slipping a bit in recent months, now is the time where WWE needs to go all in on Banks. Lynch, of course, has been the women's division's most protected star this year, and that's more than paid off for WWE, which has seen Lynch transform into a bona fide superstar and top merchandise mover during that span. But with Banks riding a wave of momentum unlike anything she's ever seen, perhaps WWE will have learned from its past mistakes and choose to go all in on Banks right out of the gate. That means that Banks could and should defeat Lynch in 100% clean fashion at Clash of Champions, preferably by tapping her out to the Banks statement, which would be a bold booking move that might anger some Lynch fans but would solidify Banks as the top heel act that WWE's women's division desperately needs. The ongoing story of Lynch being WWE's most dominant female performer needs a change in direction, and it would create an interesting storyline if Lynch taps out to Banks and then has to work her way back to the top of the card. That wouldn't be unprecedented either. Remember Royal Rumble 2019? On that show, Lynch tapped out to Asuka only to win the Women's Royal Rumble later that same night. So, a loss for Lynch wouldn't hurt her, but it would solidify Banks as the must-see act in the women's division. It could also pave the way for Lynch to move back to SmackDown, as advertisements suggest she will. Braun Strowman turns heel on Seth Rollins. Is Braun Strowman set to turn on Seth Rollins? WWE.com. It seems that WWE has done the two babyfaces who are feuding but are also tag team champions act countless times before, and though that doesn't always result in a heel turn, it's certainly a possibility here with Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. While WWE is clearly committed to pushing Rollins, perhaps it's no one merchandise mover as its biggest babyface. WWE has never truly committed to pushing Strowman in that same role, despite reports indicating otherwise and despite Strowman being one of WWE's biggest draws in that very same role. Consider that, right around this time last year, WWE made the ill-advised decision to turn Strowman heel for a feud against Roman Reigns because Reigns needed a villain to feud with at the time, and you'll be reminded of just how bizarre the booking of Strowman has been over the years, when WWE has continuously failed to capitalize on the undeniable momentum he's had. For whatever reason, whether that be his size, his limited in-ring abilities or his backstage reputation, Strowman has never had the proverbial rocket strapped to him, and he's never won a singles title. He often comes close only for WWE to get cold feet and decide to go in a different direction, and that may remain true again at Clash of Champions, where a heel turn is much more likely than a Universal title win is, especially with Raw sorely lacking in the heel department. Rollins is going to need some new capable challenges, and WWE has already exhausted most of its options on the heel side, which means that it may look to a familiar face to become the new top villain on Raw. If it does, rest assured that will probably be Strowman. Brock Lesnar returns. Could Brock Lesnar return at Clash of Champions to set up a move to SmackDown? WWE.com Hardly anyone expected Brock Lesnar to win the Money in the Bank match, to actually cash in at Extreme Rules, or to lose the way he did at SummerSlam, which shows that you never really know what to expect when it comes to the booking of the Beast. But with Lesnar advertised for SmackDown's debut on Fox in October and expected to move to the Blue brand to give the show a top star to build around on its new home, don't be shocked if he shows up at Clash of Champions to make a huge statement as the Blue brand's latest addition. In all likelihood, Lesnar is going to be the centerpiece of SmackDown the same way that he's been in that spot on Raw for the past several years, and with Kofi Kingston's Cinderella WWE title reign likely to come to an end soon, one logical scenario is for Lesnar to return and target Kingston, perhaps as soon as at Clash of Champions. Whether right or wrong, WWE views Lesnar as a massive draw, so fans shouldn't expect to see his role diminished anytime soon, especially given that his contract doesn't expire until at least May 2020. With no signs that Lesnar is going anywhere anytime soon, and it being a virtual lock that WWE will want to push him strongly on Fox thanks to his UFC ties, fans could see Lesnar pull off yet another PPV shocker when he returns at Clash of Champions, possibly to begin his pursuit of Kingston and the WWE title. In fact, Lesnar may be showing up before SmackDown moves to Fox, which certainly adds some fuel to the fire here. Let's block ads. Why?